Hey everyone, it's David here with Surplus Institute. Happy Friday. I'm gonna look at a case, a deal that I just got in the mail. I think I know which deal it is. I'm actually expecting a couple. So I'm gonna open up this and explain how I got this. It is if it's the one I'm thinking of, it is a mortgage overage deal. And again, I'll open it right now because there's a few. I just signed another notary, or had another notary go out yesterday, and it's the second or third deal I've gotten this week, and I have a couple coming in from previous weeks still. So let's go and look at this. I did mention that I was going to talk about bankruptcy in the next couple days. I still am. I've called the courts. I'll talk about that at the very end of this on where I'm at. But let's go and look at this and talk about how to get a deal. First of all, the notary's put a seal on the back of this, which I like. I'm going to go and open up this envelope. Use my little letter opener. I love that. Okay, everyone. So in this agreement that I have a, first of all, an invoice from the notary. Secondly, I have a Gmail copy of that I've talked about. I have a Gmail copy of all the information, the driver's license, everything that was sent to me on Gmail. This is a mortgage overage just under $30,000. This is an area that we regularly work, and it is in, this one is in Hawaii, and we regularly work different places for this. We have verified the funds to be here. We've gotten the birth certificate, we've gotten the death certificate. This one's a probate. We have the driver's license, we have the social security information, and we're gonna go ahead and submit this one and get this one paid directly. And literally we have everything that we need. I'm really big on privacy, as you guys know, but we do have all the documentation here that we need for this. Now let's talk about this, and let's talk about how we got this deal. We contacted this guy, and it was an heir, a relative of the deceased, and he didn't know about these funds. We went ahead and explained the process to him. We explained what we would need. We went ahead and worked with our law firm. So we have a law firm that works in this area. They gave us what we needed to have for them to be able to proceed. We have all the documentation that we need in place to go ahead and get this guy paid. So how do you do this? Number one is you have to be able to have your script down. And I talk about script in almost every single video. Hi, this is David calling for John Smith. John, I'm calling you about the property at 123 Main Street. Are you aware that this went for over the asking price at auction? You have to get right down to business and call your client. Number two is you have to have an aggressive marketing plan. What I would challenge you to do is to go ahead and take your leads, work them for 6 weeks. And I'm really big on the 3-37-60 rule. 3% of your leads are gonna say yeah immediately. 37% will say yeah between conversations 4 and 12. And 60 are gonna be a long-term follow-up, somewhere between 6 weeks and 6 months, maybe even a year. In fact, one of my clients just got paid out on a deal that he wrote to the person a letter, just sent them a letter, hey, you have unclaimed funds here. And the person called him a year later, and it's like, wow, why are you waiting for a year to call me? He has not claimed the funds. The funds have been verified, they're still sitting there, but you will have 60% of your leads are gonna be long-term leads if you choose to work it like that. You can work the business where you call everyone one time and that's it, and you're gonna find that you're gonna have a very small percentage of leads coming in. It's the follow-up and the consistency. Think about when you go out and you buy something, you look at a car, you look at something. If you're really looking at a big decision, a lot of times you have to go and you have to look a few times, you have to really digest it. And you always have those people, including myself, that have jumped in and bought something sight unseen first time. It happens, but generally when something like this, you have to earn your trust in the client. What I would do is I would take a list. So we work Hawaii quite a bit. We work different areas quite a bit. We work Florida and Ohio. What we do is we start off with a couple phone calls and try to make that contact. Then we're consistently following up with the leads, especially like days where you have low leads come in, you didn't have many leads come in. Go to your follow-up list. Work on your follow-up list of people that haven't said yes yet. And you should have that in your regular marketing. It should be like once in a blue moon, oh, I'm gonna follow up on this. It should be in your regular marketing where you're calling leads and you're trying to get them under contract. Then what you're trying to do after that is you're texting, and I always say this, know your texting laws. I don't want anyone to come back and say, hey, you told me to text and I got fined or something. And emailing. And what I would do is on the email, and yesterday I showed you a lead that I got. Now that lead I showed you yesterday, I got her on the very first phone call. And that's 3% of my leads. So I called her, mentioned that she had the funds, she was the daughter of the deceased, and she was like, okay, wow, what do I need to do? This is someone who's deceased. We have all the paperwork to go ahead and move forward. You will work with people that have probate, or you've got a will, you have something. You want to learn how to ask those questions. And if you don't know, and it happens to me all the time, I'll just say, you know what, this is a first for me, I don't know. let me find out the answer to this and I'll get back to you. The other day, someone asked me, can I get somebody paid on this fund? Can I assign the funds over to them? It was one of the other relatives and they wanted them to be able to have it. And I hadn't quite worked that. And I'm like, okay, we can assign it over. And the question came about taxes and will I have to pay the taxes? Will this show? And I didn't come back and say, I don't know. What I did say is I've seen deals like that happen before. Your CPA can answer that better than I can. I know for me, when they get the assignment, it's not showing, so it's okay. But again, I'd really like you to check with your CPAs, as I'm not comfortable giving you that advice. And people are good with that. They're like, wow, this guy's being honest with me. He's telling me the truth. And again, this lead was on the first call. And again, it's one of those 3% that I talk about. And like I said earlier, and I've said this earlier in this week, this is a bell curve, 3, 37, and then 60. It doesn't mean out of every 100 deals, exactly 3 are gonna be that first call. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's none. And exactly 37 are gonna be somewhere between conversations 4 and 12. But this is a general bell curve that works. And I used to be a math teacher, so sometimes I use some math terms here. This is a general system that I find that works with the marketing. I guess the advice I'm hoping that you'll get on this video is take your leads and work them for 6 weeks in a marketing plan. And you have a system in place, or you're coming up with the system where you're gonna take your leads and you're gonna call them for the first few weeks, try them twice in one day, morning and then evening. That works really well. And when I say evening, don't call them like really late, but try them at between 8 to 9, and then maybe about 4:30, 5 o'clock, try them again, and just say, hey, this is David. I don't know if you got my message earlier. I called you about 123 Main Street. Are you aware of that? And if they say, I'm working with someone, start talking to them. Okay, great. Is that going okay? And cool. And are you getting you got all the paperwork, and are they communicating with you? And did they disclose the amount to you? You know, it's 83,000, 84,000. And go ahead and start that conversation with them. And find out how much they know. If they're unhappy or they've been disclosed, because I've come across people that don't know the amount that they've just been told there's an overage of funds and they don't have the amount disclosed, and that's just wrong. What I tell people is, like on this deal, it's just under 30,000 and we'll get 30% of that, so we'll make about 9 grand on this deal. What I do is I tell my client, it looks like there's 30,000. As long as you have no other liens that come up on this property, you're looking at about 30,000. Our recovery will get 30% of that. Well, again, and I go over everything we do at that point. You know, we'll go ahead and we'll get in there, we'll fight with you, we'll get the paperwork ready, we'll go ahead and make sure that everything moves along, because a lot of times these get back shuffled, the courts don't care, we kick them in the butt and we get you paid. And that's one of my signature sayings that I use kick in the butt and we'll get you paid quite a bit. And people like that. They always laugh at that. It's something that I've come up with. That's kind of my personality that I use. And you want to have your personality, but you also want to be professional in the call. And you want to be earning their trust. You want to be working with this individual. So you're going to take this and you're going to call a couple times a day for the first day. You're going to try twice the first day. Then you're going to try 2 or 3 times within the first week. And then what I would do is I'd put them on a weekly calling where you're staggering the times. Maybe the next Monday you try them in the mid-afternoon, and then the following you try them at 4 p.m. and then the next morning, the next week at 9 a.m. But you're trying this lead consistently, you're texting consistently, and you're emailing. And I've gone over a lot on emailing script. Again, the subject is huge, because what I do is I go to my Google Mail and I check email usually once a day, and that's it. And what I do is, if I don't know it, trash, 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 trash. And then if I see it, or if it's creative subject. The other day I showed an email subject and it was actually kind of important, where it had like a number / my name. I opened that right up because I knew that was something, and it had an attachment. If you put an attachment in your email, it's more likely to get looked at. And what you could do is you could take what you're writing in the email, put it right in Google Docs, put it right in the email. Google's not gonna flag their own docs for spam. Unless you send out like 200 of these, then they might. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and put in the subject. And what I would do is I would put 123 Main Street / John Smith / overage, something like that in the subject line. And put a few creative subjects in the subject line. And if you have one that really is getting a better response, let me know, because I always want to know what they are. What I do is I just stagger the subject lines, where I'll put 123 Main Street, I'll put their name, I'll put overage, I'll put funds entitled to you. And again, funds entitled to you I use kind of later, because that comes off as spammy, you know, but you want to be as creative and as professional as possible, and do this for 6 weeks. So you're sending out emails every day to different people. and you're bringing that back into your routine and you're bringing this back into your marketing. What I do like, and I showed this a couple weeks ago, what I do like on email is you can, when on the send, if you do the drop down, you could go ahead and send out the times that you want to go out. So maybe you want them to see it first thing in the morning, so you have it drop in their inbox at 7:30 in the morning, and then the next time it drops in at 3 p.m. And again, you're staggering those times, you're getting your rhythm down, and you're doing this for 6 weeks. I'll be very surprised if you don't have a deal, a few deals within 6 weeks. I mean, granted, you're going to be marketing hopefully to over 30, 40 people here, maybe even just 20. You should have some deals going on. I always see this happen. I will end this video with bankruptcies. So I've called the bankruptcy courts, and I called the District of Virginia yesterday. I did talk to him. In yesterday's video, I mentioned that I was gonna talk about bankruptcies in the next couple days. I'm still working on a couple things with bankruptcies. I will be updating you all next week with that. The lady who I talked to is your typical court worker. She was like, well, we don't just give out information. She did tell me I needed to contact the administrative offices. I'm like, well, this is public information. We research companies and people that are owed funds. She did admit, and she said, well, as long as I've been here, you've never been able to look up bankruptcy cases. And I came back with, well, as long as I've done this, I've always been able to go on the UFC courts website and just hit search, and they come right up. So I said, I've seen this done for years, so I don't know if you're brand new or what. She didn't like that well, but she's like, and she's being protective. I get it. Government workers are often they don't like people like us, and I get it. And sometimes some people in this business do give us a bad name. I was professional. And I just said, ma'am, I would like to be able to get this. I'm not out to play games here. I've done this in the past. She goes, well, you can contact the administrative offices. She said AO, and I'm like, AO. Okay, and she said administrative offices. And I said, can I get their information? She wouldn't give it to me, and I know I could pull it up online. I haven't done that yet. I've got a lot going on, but I will continue to research this. If you know a creative way to go around this, let me know. Bankruptcies are what I've worked the least. I have people in the program that have worked it quite well and have done quite well with it. And I will continue to update that on the question I got the other day. I mentioned in yesterday's video, I mentioned this. I know I said that would be the last thing, and often you hear me say one more thing. I am offering a free training on a lot of these mortgage overages that I've been going over and tax overages. It'll be this Thursday night. So we're looking at Thursday, I think it's June 20th. Let me verify that date. Yeah, Thursday, June 20th at 7 p.m. I'm going to offer a free training on tax and mortgage overages. I'm going to be giving out a lot of information. I'm going to be taking you in the courts, showing you some of the back offices and what works. If you would like to register for that, I will put that in the first link. Also, I used my own personal skip tracing software yesterday to go ahead and work the leads. And some of you have been asking me about that. I'll also put that link down in the description. And it's just surplusinstitute.online, and we've gone with the new developer who's really upped the site, made it really good, and we're constantly perfecting it. It has somewhere between an 83 and 92% accuracy rating. I know that's kind of a weird scale. No skip tracing software has 100% accuracy rating, but we get the latest data out there, and we consolidate and put it together. It does work pretty good. So if you want to look at that and try it out, if you have any questions on that, email us, help@surplusinstitute.online. We'll gladly answer any questions that you may have. Hey everyone, I always appreciate you watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you around. Have a great weekend.